TIFU by getting coffee and angering the house-cleaning elves. This morning started out so promising. I decided to knock out some errands like a responsible adult. Grabbed a coffee on my way home when I started to wonder why the drive was taking longer than usual. There wasn't any traffic, so I glanced at a road sign and realized I was 10 miles in the wrong direction. No distractions, no music, no calls, just me, zoning out so hard I completely forgot how to get home from a place I go to all the time. After some colorful language and 15 minutes of attempting to do a U-turn, I made it back. Determined not to let that derail my day, I started deep cleaning my house, and things were going great until it was time to empty the vacuum. Instead of tossing the dirt into the trash, I somehow managed to dump it all over the freshly vacuumed floor. Great, so I re-cleaned and decided to mop for good measure. And then I knocked the mop bucket over, in the bathroom, which I had just cleaned 10 minutes earlier. At this point, I'm scared to attempt to do laundry. TLDR zoned out driving and ended up 10 miles off course. Came home, deep cleaned my house, and then spilled vacuum dirt and mop water all over the freshly cleaned floors. TIFU by trying to freshen up for my wife. My wife was out at a staff party yesterday, and after putting the kids to sleep, I figured I should give my pubes a trim, hoping to get some tipsy sex when she gets back. We haven't had much time lately for private time lately, but getting back on the horse slowly. Well, I got too carried away with the trimmer, and it dug into the skin down to the balls. Blood started gushing right away, and I tried to contain the blood. At first, I thought I could just hold a cotton pad on it, and it would stop bleeding soon enough. It didn't. Some of the cuts were too deep. Tried to cool it down, spray it with silver spray, and managed to slow the bleeding down enough to put a bandage on. So today, I wake up and assume that it is fine, but remove the bandage and it started bleeding right away again. More silver spray and bandaged again. Now I am afraid to open it again, and hope I am not out of commission too long. If anybody has any advice, I'll gladly take them. TLDR cut my ballsack trying to freshen up, expecting a fun night. TIFU by drinking too much tea and throwing my back out. Obligatory, this didn't happen to D, happened a few years ago. Oh. To set the scene, it's my senior year of high school. It's a Saturday, and I happen to wake up quite early, just before 8 a.m. I get dressed, go downstairs, and go to make myself a coffee. Thinking I'll lock in and do some homework before everyone else wakes up, then go out with friends later. To my abject horror, I see we're out of coffee. Okay, two options. Either I go get dressed into outside clothes, trek the half-mile to the local corner shop, pay the exorbitant fee of $1.50 for an energy drink, trek back home and get changed back into home clothes, or I'll just make do with tea. It being a cold January morning, and I being in the middle of an ultimately futile attempt to save some money, I go for the latter option. Thinking it'd be best to squeeze out as much of my precious caffeine from the tea as possible, I put 2 tea bags in a mug, fill it to the brim with boiling water, and leave the tea bags in until the tea's cooled. Of course, this makes the tea very bitter and nauseating, but I refuse to be deterred. I chug it, throw out the tea bags, and make a second cup of tea in the same fashion. Just as I make myself my third cup of horrifically bitter, overbrewed tea, and it occurs to me that if I'd have go to get the energy drink, I'd be home by now and been having a much better time, I start feeling a churning in my stomach. I remember that drinking tea on an empty stomach can make you sick, and sprint to the bathroom in case I need to upchuck. The feeling passes, and I, being a bastion of intelligence and common sense, think it really can't be that bad to chug that last cup of tea. I've already made it, and I really want the caffeine. If I feel sick, I'll just grit my teeth and keep it down through sheer, stiff upper lip British willpower. This works for a grand total of 5 minutes, and then I'm hit with a wave of nausea. So powerful it makes me consider knocking my head on my desk to put myself out of my misery. I just barely make it to the toilet before my stomach expels all the caffeine I worked so hard to get down into the bowl. I don't have time to get into a comfortable position for the job, and as I'm heaving with Olympic force, I suddenly feel a sickening twinge in my spine. After I finish, it's unmistakable I threw up so violently I fucked up some muscle in my back. For weeks afterwards, my back is in constant pain. Standing hurts, sitting hurts, laying down hurts. The only thing that offers some semblance of relief is stretching forward, which cruelly forces me to stretch my hamstrings. I wonder if this is all an elaborate scheme my PE teacher thought up as revenge for me not trying hard enough to touch my toes in lessons. Months later, when I think I'm finally healed, sneezing in the wrong way makes my back seize up in a way that's so surprisingly painful, my vision goes black for a second. I tell my friends of my immense, unending suffering, and they say that's just how it feels to get old. I shake my fist at them, and it hurts my back. TLDR chugged 3 mugs of overbrewed tea on an empty stomach because caffeine threw up so violently. I pulled a muscle in my back, and it took months to fully heal. TIFU by speeding through a speed camera over multiple days. It wasn't today, it was over multiple days, but my route to work takes me past a speed camera, which has never worked, until now. Over the last week or so, I've had 8 letters saying I'm speeding, and to confirm it was me driving, which unfortunately it was. They are all high 30s or low 40s in a 30 limit. Obviously, I slowed down when I got the first one, but they took 2 weeks to come, so I seem to have accumulated a few before I realized the camera was working. Each ticket is presumably 3 points. In the UK, 12 points gets me banned from driving, which I need for work, so may well lose my job. Trying to decide whether to tell work now or when it gets to court. I know it's my own fault and angry with myself, but surely some warning first. TLDR, previously inactive speed camera, kicks into action to destroy my life. TIFU by joining and speaking in a Discord call. Hey people of TIFU. You may be wondering how that could be a F-up, but I will explain. To start, I am trans MTF26. Yo, and unfortunately I came out in my 20s, which means due to going through male puberty, my voice is deep and in my opinion, I have a really ugly face. But we don't care about the face for this story. While I have been out for a few years, I had to stop HRT due to the cost of living being so high that I can't afford it at the moment. So while I am out and want to identify as a woman, my body is far from what I would like it to be, and due to the current political landscape, it makes me very apprehensive to be around new people I haven't talked to before. In the last year, I have been really enjoying a podcast made by 2 content creators, and it has honestly been something that has made me laugh. After a few months of watching, I decided to join the Discord when I introduced myself. I didn't mention that I was trans, as I just wanted people to see me as me, and not see me as a person pretending or a wolf in sheep's clothing. I started making memes around the episodes of the podcast, or if I paused on a funny face one of them was making, I would meme it. It became something they would even reference during several of their shows. Well, today one of the duo put out in the Discord that he was going to hop in the VC to say hi, and I thought it would be cool to join in. It took me a while to work up the courage to ignore my social anxiety and join in, and when I did, the creator and 2 other people in the VC were playing GTA RP. I honestly felt like I just walked into something and felt like the 4th wheel on a tricycle. At this time, I was trying my best to make my voice more higher pitch, to make it sound more feminine, however I felt like it wasn't very convincing. The creator tried to give me context, but at the same time they were so engrossed in the game it would get pretty quiet. Anyway, it went quiet for a bit and decided to play some Fallout 76 while staying in the VC, just in case they eventually got tired of playing and decided to just chat. At one point the creator said something, I can't remember what it was, so I thought it would be funny to say, "That's what she said." Yeah, I know, so mature. I pressed the push to speak, however I forgot to make my voice higher pitch and said in my normal manly voice, "That's what she said." And right after I said it, a wave of dysphoria, imposter syndrome and shame washed over me while no one said anything about it. I couldn't say anything else, and I just then sat in silence while still being in the VC for a while, trying to work out what to do with thousands of alarms going off in my head. So eventually I just left the VC without saying another word. In regards and to defend the creators, they aren't transphobic, racist or homophobic from what I have seen of their podcast, as they usually say things like non-binary pals in positive ways, and are pretty inclusive and have very respectable opinions on social issues. I wouldn't watch or support them if that wasn't the case. My social anxiety around my gender comes from previous bad experiences with people I trusted, including close friends and family. For the rest of the afternoon, I just sat with my dysphoria, and I honestly don't think I will jump into a VC on Discord for a while, as I have traumatized myself. TLDR, today I F'd up by joining a Discord call, outing myself as trans and traumatizing myself with dysphoria and imposter syndrome with my naturally deep voice. TIFU by taking a massive dose of melatonin instead of vitamin D. I was feeling sluggish all day, wondering why the hell I could not stay focused and felt so tired. Every blinking was a slippery slide. I was legit worried I had some disease or something. I also take stimulant medication, so normally I don't feel remotely tired after taking it. I chugged about 3 coffees, struggling to stay awake all through the day. The drive home from work was horrible, and then it dawned on me. While cleaning the bathroom, I realized in the place my vitamin D3 was extra strength melatonin. So I basically took a fucking massive dose of melatonin right after waking up 60 million dollars. It's the same brand, and I swear the containers look exactly the same. There is no way I can express how fucking stupid I feel right now. TLDR, I legit thought I was sick, but I am just dumb and confused. Melatonin and Vit D. TIFU by sending a text to the wrong person. Here's the tea. I was texting my bestie, right? Just casually ranting about this one person who was like totally grinding my gears lately. Let's just call them person X. No one needs to know who this is, lol. Anyway, I was venting about how much I couldn't stand them, how they were acting all fake and rude, and how they probably didn't even realize how toxic they were. Like I was letting it all out, thinking it was going to my bestie, the one person I could trust to know exactly what I meant. I had just gotten back from a long day, super tired, and my brain was operating at like 10% capacity. So I was texting my bestie about person X, and honestly, I was going off. I was like, yo, person X is so fake. Like, how can anyone be this much of a drama queen? And then just went on a mini rant about their latest antics. You know how they tried to be all buddy-buddy, but were really just being petty behind my back. So I hit send, and like 5 minutes later, I got no response from my bestie. Now, I'm starting to get kinda impatient and low-key stressed because why is she not texting back? But like, maybe she's just busy, right? I mean, it's chill, no biggie. But then I check my phone. I see the message I just sent. And then I see the name. The name of the person I was talking about. Yup, I sent the message to person X. And now my heart dropped to my stomach like it was trying to escape. I felt the panic hit me like a wave, and I instantly wanted to disappear from this plane of existence. I started sweating. The kind of sweat you get when you're trying to cover up a massive mistake. My hands were shaking so bad that I could barely type a response. But I quickly tried to salvage the situation. I was like, wait, is this some sort of joke or something? But no, they didn't answer right away. The suspense was literally killing me, like I was on the edge of my seat, praying they were just going to let it slide. I immediately started texting my bestie again, trying to cover my tracks. I was like, OMG, I meant to send that to you, LOL. I was talking about person X because they're so annoying. I swear, I was just kidding, don't even trip. I sent a few more texts like that, but every time I hit send, it felt more like I was just digging myself deeper into the hole. I mean, no matter how hard I tried to explain myself, the damage was done, and I knew it. So now I'm basically sitting there like, how am I going to fix this? How am I going to get out of this one without looking like the biggest idiot ever? I was refreshing my phone like some kind of junkie, checking every 2 seconds, hoping that they would either just not respond at all or at least be like, ha ha ha, I know you didn't mean that, no big deal. I'd even taken a break, tried to breathe, but nope, no response. It was like every second that went by, I could literally feel my pride and dignity slowly fading away. The longer they took to reply, the more my brain spiraled into what if they actually hate me now? Territory. I'm thinking to myself, why would they even respond? Why am I even hoping for a miracle? Finally, after what felt like hours, person X texted back. My heart was racing. I quickly opened the message, half expecting them to just roast me or call me out. And then the message popped up. It was just 2 words, nice to hear your thoughts. Bruh, I swear I wanted to crawl into a hole and never come out. Like, this person was so calm about it. I was over here sweating, crying internally, and this person was just being low-key savage in the chillest way possible. Now I'm just sitting there with my phone in hand, rereading the message over and over, like, did that really just happen? Did I really just get called out so casually? So yeah, moral of the story, don't vent about someone in a text and then immediately hit send. Like, for real, double check who you're texting, because that mistake? That's gonna haunt me forever. And if you ever accidentally roast someone over text, just know that sometimes the other person might not even care enough to call you out or make a big deal. But man, I'm still cringing. TLDR accidentally sent a savage text about someone to that same person, tried to cover it up, and they casually responded with nice to hear your thoughts. Now I want to die a little inside. TIFU by not knowing red mango was probiotic. So last night I smoked some weed and was really craving frozen yogurt. I saw red mango had a special on Uber Eats, but 1 get 1 free, so I was like, wow, this is amazing. I ordered their dark chocolate skinny sorbetto sin without the guilt OZ0, and when the 2 arrived, they looked like absolute heaven in a cup. Naturally, I told myself I'd save 1 for another day, but because I was high, I ate both in a mere matter of minutes. A few hours later, I went to bed and felt my stomach grumbling a little bit. I figured it was just because I ate 2 cups of frozen yogurt and fell asleep in a mild shame over it, LOL. Around 4 a.m., I must have forced out a fart in my sleep because next thing I knew, I was stumble running to the bathroom with lava spewing down my thighs. I had no idea what was going on. Diarrhea for like 20 minutes on the toilet. Had to clean myself up completely before going back to bed, obviously, but also had to clean the entire toilet bathroom floor for safe measure. TLDR today, I googled the dessert I ordered and found out red mango has probiotic bacteria in their products, which is amazing, but I quite literally poisoned myself with bacteria. TIFU by consuming an entire bag of Walmart corn and discovering my body's impressive talent for food preservation. I was digging around in the back of my freezer, looking for some chicken nuggets or something, when I discovered a bag of Walmart corn that had been chilling there since God knows when. The bag was a bit frosty, and the price tag had faded to the point where it was just a white rectangle, but corn doesn't go bad when frozen, right? Right? Anyway, instead of doing the reasonable thing and portioning it out like a normal human being, my genius self decided, well, it's just corn, and dumped the entire 30 suhos bag into a bowl. Added some butter, a bit of salt, and went to town while watching some Netflix. It wasn't until I was scraping the bottom of the bowl that I realized I had just consumed 2 entire pounds of raw corn. Fast forward to 3 a.m., and my stomach is making noises that I can only describe as what you'd hear if you put a rubber duck in a blender. The bloating was so bad I looked 6 months pregnant, I'm a dude. But the real fun began this morning. Without going into graphic detail, let's just say I learned that my digestive system is remarkably inefficient at processing large quantities of corn. Also learned that corn maintains its structural integrity through pretty much anything. It's like my body just decided to vacuum seal each kernel for preservation. I've now spent roughly 40 minutes total in the bathroom, questioning my life choices and wondering if I'm secretly part corn now. TLDR found ancient frozen corn in my freezer, ate the entire bag in one sitting, discovered my digestive system doubles as a corn preservation facility. and gained a new appreciation for serving size recommendations. Edit. To all the people asking, no, I did not eat it uncooked. This post was written at like 4 in the morning, and I forgot to mention that I microwaved it. TIFU by not rescheduling a dentist appointment. This FU started a few months back but has come to a head today. Around 6 months ago, my dentist wanted to redo a crown on one of my teeth. I show up for the appointment, but they were closed that day. The office had flooded overnight from the unit next door, and they needed to reschedule me. I figured no problem. They would call and get me back on the books. They never did. Like the One Ring, my appointment slipped into legend. When my cleaning came around, they rescheduled the appointment to get the crown redone. They popped that sucker off, and there was a massive cavity underneath. There wasn't enough tooth left for a crown, so he ended up doing an extraction in prep for an implant. As if the extraction wasn't a FU enough, I now have that flu or whatever is going around causing sinus pressure and immense pain in my face. Pain meds barely take the edge off, so I just have to wait it out. If I had just rescheduled the appointment, all of this could have been avoided. TLDR, I didn't reschedule a dentist appointment necessitating a tooth extraction at the same time as getting the flu. TIFU by having a conscience. So for some background info, I have bad acne that refuses to go away. So I keep a pair of tweezers in my bathroom drawer to pick scabs off. I know picking and squeezing acne is a big no-no, but honestly, who doesn't? The other day, I went into the bathroom and noticed my tweezers on the counter. Now I knew for a fact that I did not put them there, and the only other person that shares that bathroom is my younger sister. I asked her about it, but she denied using them. I was 110% certain it was not me, but didn't push it. Keep in mind, I washed them after I found them on the counter because they had some blood on them. I figured maybe from picking the scabs on my face, I wish. Today I went to grab them to pick a scab off that has been bugging me. But when I picked them up, they had blood on them, and to my horror, a few curly black hairs. I fin know who it was, and I know what said person was doing with them. I cannot explain to you how disgusted I am. I have been using those tweezers on my face for the past few years, and now I learn what my sister has been doing with them, and the worst part, I don't know how long she's been doing it. I have used these tweezers to get black heads off my lips. My lips, people. I tried bringing it up because WTF else am I supposed to do? And she said she was picking her eyebrows. I was like, okay. But inside, I'm like, touch, you expect me to believe that? Your eyebrows are not black, and they are not curly. I am horrified and think I'll be traumatized for life. TLDR, I found out that the tweezers I use on my face are the very same tweezers that my sister plucks her pubes with. I am horrified. TIFU by wearing mismatched shoes to a job interview, and let me tell you, it's a disaster I'll never live down. I've been on the job hunt for a few weeks now, and as we all know, job interviews are stressful. You have to get everything just right. The right outfit, the right mindset, and of course, the right shoes. Normally, I take forever picking out shoes because I have a slight obsession with them, but this time, life decided it was going to test me. The night before my interview, I had stayed up too late studying for the test they gave as part of the application process, totally unnecessary by the way, but I felt like I needed to crush it. As a result, I woke up late the next day. I'm talking 20 minutes until the interview starts, and I still hadn't even picked out my clothes. Panic mode activated. My brain wasn't working right, so I grabbed the first things I saw that seemed decent. Now, the thing about my closet is that I have a whole section dedicated to shoes. But in my rush, I didn't look closely. I just grabbed 2 shoes that seemed similar in color. One was a black flat, the other a more casual black sneaker. Both were black. Both were about the same size. So in my stressed-out brain, it seemed like they were close enough. Well, they weren't. Not even close. I didn't realize my mistake until I was halfway out the door and started thinking, why do these feel so weird? But by that point, there was no time to change. I had to leave, so I just decided to keep going. Honestly, I was praying the interviewer would be more focused on my resume than my shoes. I mean, come on, who notices mismatched shoes anyway, right? I get to the office, still kind of in denial about the whole thing, and sit down in the waiting room. I could feel the eyes of the receptionist on me, but I was trying to act cool. My heart was pounding, but I told myself no one will notice. It's fine. Totally fine. Well, fast forward to the actual interview. It started off well, I think. But every time I had to sit down or move my feet, I found myself subtly trying to hide one of my shoes under the table. I swear, every part of my body was hyper-aware of my mismatched shoes, and I'm pretty sure I spent more time trying to hide them than actually listening to the questions. To make things worse, I kept imagining what the interviewer might be thinking. Is she really wearing mismatched shoes? Does she think this is cute? Is this a power move? Should I hire someone who can't even match their shoes? Meanwhile, I'm over here trying to answer questions about my experience, like I'm the most professional person in the room. While my shoes are slowly becoming a ticking time bomb of embarrassment, I managed to keep it together for the most part, but when they asked me to stand up to give my final pitch, I knew the jig was up. Standing there, trying not to make eye contact with my shoes, I was pretty sure I could feel the interviewer's gaze flicker down to my feet. And for the rest of the interview, all I could think about was how my feet were probably the least impressive thing about me at that moment. Honestly, I don't even remember the last 10 minutes of the interview. I was too focused on my shoes. When it was over, I was so relieved. I did the usual handshake, nodded, and gave my best I'm so confident smile as I walked out of the room. But the whole time, I couldn't shake the thought of those shoes. I got back to my car, took a deep breath, and immediately texted my friend to tell her the story. She was laughing at me so hard, but honestly, it made me feel a little better. She said, "It's fine. Everyone makes mistakes. At least you weren't wearing two different colors." And while that's true, I was still mortified. But hey, life goes on. TLDR woke up late for a job interview, grabbed mismatched shoes in my rush, and spent the whole interview trying to hide my feet. Definitely not my finest moment. TIFU by leaving a white claw in my car. I don't drink, but I found an unopened white claw on the ground by a parking lot. I thought I could wash it off and then give it to someone as a little gift. It was on freshly fallen snow, and it wasn't frozen, so I assumed it hadn't been there long. Because I had to make a second stop for groceries, I forgot it was in there. I believe I unclearly thought that I shouldn't leave a container of alcohol in the front seat of my car, even if it was still closed. Who knew why I might get pulled over? Police around here are strict enough that I got pulled over for running a stop sign once merciful enough. I didn't get a ticket for that. I forgot about the can overnight, and it had burst by today. Part of it was on my window covering, part was still in the can, and who knows how much had soaked into the seat for at least a few hours. I've tried a couple free, aside from the cleaner I already owned options, and I've yet to see how well they work overall. I was too afraid how expensive I'd learn getting a replacement seat would be, and too embarrassed to admit this happened. So far it seemed once like I got the smell out, but it either returned because I missed a spot or what have you. Tried a much more thorough go over the second time, and it seems to have worked much better. My seats are black and cotton foam, so there's no stain to worry about. We'll see. TLDR, I left a white claw in the car which burst overnight and soaked a back seat. TIFU by licking the dentist. Obligatory, this actually happened today. So I'm on maternity leave at the moment, which for one precious year, hooray UK I guess means free dental work. Unfortunately, I have a lot of work to do, so have been scheduling regular appointments with my dentist to fix the cornucopia of errors within my existing dentition. Today was the day I followed up after my root canal a few weeks ago, for a temporary crown and a molding for my permanent one. Part of this process, for those of you lucky enough to have never experienced, it is the part where they ram a plastic shovel full of paste right into the back of your mouth. And I mean they get right in there. During this procedure, a globule of cement fell towards the back of my mouth. I certainly noticed it. My automatic reaction was to sort of fold my tongue in half like Gene Simmons at a party in an effort to prevent aspirations. Due to the amount of ahem material inside my gob, I didn't realize that my poor dentist had also noticed the debris and had reached henceforth to retrieve it. What followed was a completely unintentional erotic ballet of tongue and finger, like an anaconda squeezing the life from a deer. This was punctuated by my dentist saying, "Oh wow, certainly more out of consternation than delight." It was at this point I realized that he was well involved. I tried to apologize as soon as I realized, but sadly, "I'm so sorry," with a mouthful of dental equipment, plus finger was renditioned as, "Ah, susre." So I'm not entirely certain he got the message. He did try to give me a high five on the way out of the appointment though, so I guess that's a win. To add insult to injury, the temporary crown is much brighter than my other teeth, and when questioned about my dentist, told me, "That's the yellowest shade they do." So I guess I'm confined to practicing talking, like Grandma lost her dentures for another year. Anyway, that's it. I'm mortified. I would say I can never go back there, but Mama got to get her free dental shrug. TLDR sexually assaulted my dentist. Teeth still look like shit. TIFU by getting high and eating an entire rotisserie chicken. To cut to the chase, I'm a massive stoner, and a friend of mine had paid me in a freshly rolled joint for driving them to work after their car broke down. So I was pretty excited to try their stuff. I got nice and comfy on the couch and lit up. It was certainly different than what I usually get. Hit me like a semi-truck and had to put it out after a few hits. A few minutes in and I'm realizing I'm way higher than I thought I would be. But it's okay. I don't have any responsibilities in the morning and I can just play games until I sleep it off. A few hours and some decimated chip bags later and my gremlin ass is still hungry, so I check my fridge to see what's up. I see it, a small, whole rotisserie chicken that I bought earlier to shred up for meal prep stuff. And in that moment, some ancient lizard part of my brain activates. That chicken looks pretty damn good. So I pull it out of the fridge. My initial plan was to reheat it in my air fryer, but it didn't fit. It's a small air fryer. So I thought, okay, if I just break it up and reheat it in pieces, that should work. So I start breaking it apart with my hands, but as I'm doing so, the lizard brain turns on again. Just go for it. And Jaime couldn't stop lizard brain. So there I was, standing shirtless in my kitchen and eating cold rotisserie chicken with my bare hands like a feral animal. And then the second actor in this story come in. My cat. She's a gremlin and the spawn of Satan, but I love her dearly. Now, if anyone owns cats or pets in general, I guess, then, no matter how much you feed and take care of them, if you're eating food they deem tasty, they'll stop at nothing to get to it. So I'm in my lizard zooted to the moon brain eating an entire rotisserie chicken by hand, when my cat sprints out of nowhere, leaps onto the counter, grabs part of a wing I had torn off, and sprints away. I immediately try and run after her, but I'm higher than the International Space Station right now, and putting one foot in front of the other is serving to be a bit of a challenge. So I'm chasing her around my apartment, telling her, "No, you get back here, give me that," etc., while also crashing and banging into every wall, corner, and piece of furniture imaginable. At some point, I trip and slam my face to the ground. Eventually, I catch her, pull the wing out of her mouth, and take a moment to breathe. And now we begin Act 3, the police. They knock on my door, and immediately I'm wondering if something is going on outside, or if they're here for any other reason than what just happened. I'm high as shit and just answer the door. I'm sure what the police weren't expecting was a shirtless man with his mouth covered in chicken grease like a toddler, eating spaghetti, holding a very sad cat. They ask me if everything's all right in here, and I respond so eloquently with, "Yeah, everything's good. My cat just ate my chicken." They chuckle a bit and explain that apparently while I was chasing my cat around my apartment, what my neighbors heard was a lot of banging and screaming, what seemed to be a domestic dispute. So they called the police. I assured them I live alone with my cat, and she's fine, and they tell me to keep it down and have a good night. Thought I'd share this story with the world since my friends all thought it was hilarious. TLDR, I got high, ate a rotisserie chicken. My cat snatched some up, and in my chase to get it out of her mouth, my neighbors thought I was getting beaten and called the cops. Edit first, thanks for everyone who got a good laugh out of my story. To clarify a few things for y'all, it wasn't technically today, but last night into this morning. As someone pointed out, there's a contradiction in me saying I'm a massive stoner but got blazed off half a joint. I explained this in the reply that I was on a several-month break that lowered my tolerance, and wrote massive stoner as just a little hyperbole. On average, I smoked about 2-3 times a week. TIFU by trying to help a little boy that face-planted in a crosswalk, but I ended up just making him feel worse. While waiting at a red light at a big intersection, a little boy 7 or 8, wearing school-related gear, and his school backpack tripped and face-planted in the crosswalk. This is in Japan, and it's common for kids that age to travel to school on their own. Other people in the crosswalk, mostly other kids, totally ignored him as he slowly picked himself up and limped away. When I see him stopping and wiping tears away, I go to him and ask in Japanese whether he's okay, to which he yells, "I'm okay," without even looking at me, and marches away quickly. The tone of his voice made it clear that I had made his embarrassment much worse, and he just wanted to get out of there. I felt like shit. There's a lot of discussion in the English-speaking foreign community in Japan about whether Japanese are heartless for not offering aid to those that clearly need it, e.g. elderly that fall in public and can't get up, or that it's just part of the culture to not increase someone's embarrassment unless they ask for help. It's sometimes hard to understand the line. I've seen a video of someone getting violently hit by a car in a crosswalk, only to have everyone else in the crosswalk go on as if nothing had happened. That really does feel heartless. But today's event made me feel strongly the other side, and I feel horrible for making that little boy's bad day feel worse. TLDR, a little boy face-planted in the crosswalk of a major intersection. He brushed himself off and hobbled forward, but when it looked like he started to cry, I went to check on him, but he marched away yelling, "I'm okay," in a tone that clearly indicated I was making his embarrassment worse. TIFU by cracking a joke in a family group chat about my uncle's funeral. So today I got added to a new WhatsApp group chat titled The Cousins. I assumed it was a casual family thread for random updates and jokes, so naturally I thought it would be a good idea to start off by saying, "Who are we talking shit about?" A few moments later, my oldest cousin replies, "Hey P, you may have heard that my dad, your uncle, passed away, and I created this group to share funeral details." Cue me wanted to throw myself out the window. I immediately deleted the note and retyped a new one that was more appropriate given the context of the group thread. Thankfully, my cousin either didn't see it or didn't mention it. Still, I can't shake the feeling that I've now cemented my reputation as the cousin who always puts their foot in their mouth. TLDR. Always figure out what the group chat is about before trying to be funny. TIFU by having an itchy butt for 11 months. I had a vasectomy in January of 2024. A few days after the procedure, my butt started itching uncomfortably and unceasingly. At first, I thought it was a side effect of the procedure. Maybe I was reacting to the bandages. Maybe it was the non-stop sitting as I recovered. Or maybe I itched because I didn't shower for a few days post-op. But I recovered and got back into my normal routine, and the itching continued. I tried everything short of consulting my doctor. It's embarrassing to tell people your butt itches. I started showering twice daily. I outfitted all of my toilets with bidets. I even tried a few different types of creams and ointments. Nothing worked. I Googled my symptoms and got a variety of results. Some sites suggested I might have hemorrhoids, pinworms, or some other butt-related ailment. One helpful forum simply said, "This happens when you turn 40, your butt starts itching. You just have to deal with it." I resigned myself to having an itchy butt for the rest of my life. Then over the holidays, 11 months into my affliction, I was scratching my itchy unmentionables, and I had a thought. When I had my vasectomy, I followed my doctor's instructions and wore some tight briefs for a few days. Those briefs became part of my laundry cycle, and I wore them regularly. Looking at their tag, they were 20% spandex. Turns out, spandex is a pretty common allergy. I threw out the briefs and the itching stopped within a few days. I'm now itch-free and I'm never wearing spandex again. I was resigned to the idea that I was going to have an itchy butt for the rest of my life, and now I can live a clear, itch-free life again. TLDR, my butt was itchy for 11 months. Turns out, I'm sensitive to spandex.